la Société d'exploitation du parc agro-industriel du Bukanga Lonzo. This large-scale agricultural project is the first of its kind in Africa and was launched in February 2014. With this, the Democratic Republic of the Congo saw the development of its first agricultural business park at Bukanga Lonzo. Not only will this development empower many Congolese citizens by the creation of job opportunities, but the issue of national food security will be addressed at a high level. The agricultural business park at Bukanga Lonzo will furthermore be extended to the first formal fresh produce market in Central Africa, from where local food distribution will take place as well as food exports. Parc agro-industriel du Bukanga Lonzo will soon be the most prominent and significant agricultural project not only in the DRC but on the entire African continent, offering products and services which were never available in the country previously. The world witnessed the start of this significant project as 80,000 hectares of land was allocated in February 2014. This area is the size of 125,000 soccer fields. Careful planning was started to design and execute the first stages of this big project. Since the implementation started on barren land without any supplies or services, planning and development had to happen simultaneously. All skills and materials had to be imported and transported to the agro-park at Bukanga Lonzo. Temporary living quarters soon followed as civil planners, contractors and laborers needed to be accommodated on site. To establish a network of roads on the allocated agro-park area was the first priority, but could not commence without clearing unwanted vegetation from strategic areas. Being in this fertile area, the opening of overgrown areas proved to be a huge task in itself. A temporary gatehouse and security checkpoint followed, with Parc agro-industriel du Bukanga Lonzo signage to identify this world-famous project that received a lot of media attention. Most of the expertise and supplies were imported from abroad and taken from the port of Matadi to the Parc Agro site. The first major challenge to overcome was to establish water supply to the park area. This was particularly difficult since the nearby Kwango River lies much lower than the park area. A water elevation supply system was designed and developed to bring water to the required areas at the park. The first stage of this implementation was a pump station, from where water could be pumped from a river to a reservoir for further dispersion. The river flight station consists of two 332 kilowatt flight submerged pumps, which push water up from the river to reservoir dams. Water is pumped from the river for 2.3 kilometers to the booster station. From here, the water is pumped a further 1.4 kilometers to the main dam using 8 high-pressure pumps of 132 kilowatt each. This booster pump station disperses more than 4 million liters of water per hour. From the reservoir dam, water is pumped to the pivot irrigation system and to the water sanitizing unit to supply drinking water to the farm and surrounding villages. The first reservoir dam built can store 188,000 cubic meters of water. The dam is completely lined with a durable 1 millimeter thick membrane. The water holding capacity of this dam equals 188 million liters of water. The water project alone created the urgent need for an on-site PVC pipe manufacturing facility, which was implemented. The facility produced 560 meters of 50 by 5 millimeter PVC pipe in 24 hours. Water was used to mobilize a huge pivot irrigation system, which consists of 20 pivots covering an area of 50 hectares each. This is a total of 1,000 hectares of irrigated land. Let's put 1 hectare into perspective. The size of one normal soccer field is 0.64 hectare. This means that the agro-park at Bukanga Lonzo offers 1,563 soccer fields under irrigation. The issue of safe drinking water could be addressed successfully as adequate water supply was established on the farm. Proper sanitation in the form of a French drain system was installed to ensure that waste could be disposed of in a manner that would not contaminate any water source nearby. Water suitable for drinking is processed through a sanitation system. Construction, as well as cultivation plans and schedules required, commenced for machinery and equipment to arrive early at the park. When agricultural vehicles, machinery and implements arrived at the park during August 2014, planning of the plant season could begin. The world witnessed as significant numbers of impressive equipment arrived piece by piece at an area that lied remote and barren since the start of creation. Large-scale logistics included hundreds of containers, freight ships and heavy road transportation to Bukanga, Lonzo from faraway countries abroad. 12 Massey Ferguson high-spec tractors arrived at the allocated farm area to enable deep cultivation. The engine specifications of these high-powered tractors ranges from 125 kilowatt to 250 kilowatt. Furthermore, 32 taffy tractors with 61 kilowatt engines arrived at the park. In addition to these 44 tractors, an additional 9 Beulah super tractors also arrived at the farm area. Almost 300 various agricultural implements including plows, planters, trailers, wagons, spreaders and graders were shipped and transported to Parc Agro du Bukanga Lonzo. History was made as large quantities of the best agricultural equipment arrived, further including 12 16-row equalizer hydraulic no-tool planters. In the same way, the country also witnessed the arrival of 2 air tractor aircraft with its pilots to be used as crop sprayers and for fertilizer spreading. These state-of-the-art aircraft are fitted with the latest technology and navigation systems, with a generous 52-foot wingspan and a 500-gallon payload, ensuring fewer trips, landings and takeoffs. The arrival of the aircraft required a landing strip which was set out on site and a large storing hangar which was built to accommodate the air tractor aircraft. The construction of logistics buildings, warehouses and staff housing was next on the project schedule. 5 warehouses of 1,000 square meters each have been completed and 3 storerooms of 600 square meters each. An additional pack house of 3,000 square meters was also built. This equals to almost 9,000 square meters of closed and covered storeroom facility. Large quantities of the first imported fertilizers arrived on the farm and the planting of maize commenced during September 2014. 7,000 hectares of maize was planted in the first year, which can be compared to the size of 11,000 soccer fields. This was a first for the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and much more in terms of food production was to come as the project developed very quickly. From the start of this project, it was the developers' ambition and drive to employ mainly Congolese laborers. Although skilled and qualified contractors were utilized to kickstart the park project, locals were soon recruited and trained to expand and maintain the project. The construction of housing facilities soon commenced, with the current hostel complex accommodating up to 150 people. The hostel complex alone will be expanded to eventually house 1,000 farm workers. Other forms of housing, such as cluster homes and a village, will also be constructed in the near future. On the construction schedule, the church building and medical center were next on the plans and were constructed by local builders. The preparation of the silo storage complex commenced. Phase 1 of the silo complex consisted of 12 tunnels of 300 square meters each, a total of 3,600 square meters of tunnels for the drying and storing of maize. Many hectares of dry beans and soya beans were planted as trials the next year. Since no electricity was available at the park, specialists started the engineering and design of a power station at the park. Pylons and power lines were installed from a newly developed substation close to the park. 3 20,000 kVA power lines supplied the pivot irrigation system with electricity. Irrigated areas were divided into 4 sections with 4 central pivots per section. These pivots deliver 11 millimeters of water to the area per day. Irrigated areas of land will be utilized for seedling nursing and fruit and vegetable production. Expected products to be cultivated under irrigation will include cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, carrots, beetroot, lettuce, melons, pumpkin and watermelon. Very impressive state-of-the-art greenhouses have been built at the park to accommodate seedlings and also fruit and vegetables such as tomatoes, peppers, aubergines, chilies and strawberries. 12 greenhouses were erected, covering a total of 300 square meters. In addition to these, a wide-span greenhouse was installed covering an area of 1 soccer field. The aim of farming with fruit and vegetables on the farm at the park is to produce large volumes of fresh fruit and vegetables and to make this produce available to the Congolese people. This will aid in the ready availability of fresh, safe and affordable fruit and vegetables in the DRC, again a first for the country. 500 tons of fresh fruit and vegetables will be processed and packaged on the farm daily and distributed to market areas. Think of this number as 500 pickup trucks, each piled with fresh fruit and vegetables, leaving the park every day of the year, including weekends and holidays. Future arable land development at the park will accommodate fruit plantations and orchards to produce bananas, pawpaws, pineapples, oranges and mangoes. Skills development training is an ongoing project at the park which required a training center, workshops and a community center, all which was started during 2015 by local laborers. Due to the remote location of the park at Bukanga, Lonzo, a communication system needed to be implemented to make operations effective and smooth. A dedicated tower and 2 satellite dishes were installed on site for cellular communications and internet supply to the entire park area, making the business unit highly functioning and effective. The cassava project started with the construction of the cassava factory. The cassava factory will have the capacity to produce approximately 20 tons of cassava flour derived from 80 to 100 tons of fresh cassava roots in a 24-hour period. 2 chippers will each have a capacity of 1 ton per hour. Cassava is soaked in 10 reservoirs which can contain 30,000 liters each. Cassava drying cyclones and mills form part of the cassava processing plant. 200 hectares of cassava have been planted to date on the farm during the current season, equating to more than 300 soccer fields. A current yield of 12 tons per hectare is being harvested on the farm. 1 ton of cassava roots produces 200 kilograms of cassava flour. Local small-scale farmers can also bring their own produce to the park for processing for an additional income. During the next 12 months, 500 hectares of cassava will be planted for the park project, and another 500 hectares of cassava will be planted for the surrounding villages as part of social development. This will continue to grow over the next decade as the park grows. Although the main road and several service roads were implemented at the start of the project, the condition of the roads deteriorated very fast due to the excessive use, heavy rainfall and erosion. Maintenance continues on a daily basis, and to improve the functionality of the roads, a crusher plant was constructed where hydraulic breakers attached to excavators break stones into manageable sizes. These stones are transformed into different consistencies and sizes to be used to repair road surfaces and make bricks on site that is currently used with the ongoing construction projects. These quality bricks have a strength of 14 megapascal. The crusher plant processes 400 tons of crushed stone per day, and thousands of tons of stone have been processed to date at the park. As the community's health and well-being are of utmost importance, it came to light that the construction of a medical facility was crucial. The current clinic can accommodate 12 patients at a time and offers park residents primary health care to assist in the treatment of minor illnesses and ailments. If a patient is in need of advanced healthcare, the clinic will serve as first response to stabilize the patient until the patient can be evacuated to Kinshasa. A doctor and 2 nurses are on site to tend to the healthcare needs of the local workforce as well as the surrounding villages. The clinic offers services such as malaria testing and can offer advice to the community with regards to contraception, HIV prevention and pregnancy. This clinic will soon expand into a medical center with complete healthcare which can facilitate medical services to 100 patients. Phase 2 of the silo complex commenced, and today this very impressive implementation stands complete with some amazing achievements. this is once again a first for the country and required intense planning and logistics to obtain the materials, parts, tools and skills from abroad. This completed silo complex is comprised of 10 grain storage towers built on a large concrete foundation. The collection of towers is made up of 6 72-foot high towers plus 4 48-foot towers, making it possible to store 40,000 tons of grain. It is quite amazing to think that 40 million kilograms of grain can be stored on site at Bukanga, Lonzo. The primary initial cultivation focus of maize production at Bukanga, Lonzo led to the refining of maize into consumer products. Quality Bukanga maize meal is packaged and distributed to the mini marché retail shops in Kinshasa. An extension of the silo storage complex and the maize milling plant is the construction of a massive feed mill and processing facility in a 7,800 square meter factory, larger than one soccer field. The feed mill consists of 5 bunker intake systems with a 210 square meter capacity each. This 80% automated feed mill will be able to process 200 tons of feed per hour. This means 200,000 kilograms every hour of the day. Sophisticated pellet making machinery has been imported from Europe for pellet feed manufacturing at the park. Livestock on the farm at Bukanga, Lonzo and the future chicken production facility and piggery alone will require 10,000 tons of animal feed per year. Excess feed will be bagged and distributed nationally to market offset points including the Marché International de Kinshasa. In the near future, the Bukanga Lonzo project can look forward to its own maize mill and bagging plant located on site at the park. Harvested maize will be stored for later use and then moved to a maize milling plant where dried kernels will be refined into maize meal and at a later stage into animal feed. The maize mill at the park will initially process 4,200 tons of maize per month. This would equal at least 42,000 kilograms of maize every month of the year. Products will be bagged according to specifications and transported to shops around the DRC and to other marketplaces. A complete weigh bridge has been installed at the park, which will assist with the weighing of harvested products as well as determine the volume of the product leaving the farm. The park also boasts a fuel depot station with 2 large fuel tanks, one from Engen and one from Total. Another very large development mentioned earlier, which commenced during 2015 in the DRC, was the construction of the Marché International de Kinshasa. This international fresh produce exchange market will eventually comprise of 36,000 square meters. If you compare this area again to something more comprehensible, we look at 5.5 soccer fields of covered market space. The provision of a fresh produce market allows for equal trade opportunities to large-scale commercialized producers and smallholder farmers producing small quantities of produce. The Marché International de Kinshasa will serve as the ideal platform for these farmers who will have higher levels of clarity of who will buy their produce, even though the commercial farmers remain set to dominate supply. An extension of this daily active bidding market will be the online web-based e-commerce leg of the fresh produce market, selling mainly products derived from the Parc Agro-Industriel project at Bukanga, Lonzo. Probably the most impressive part of agricultural production at the park is the making, processing, storing and distribution of fresh meat such as pork and chicken products. The chicken project alone at the park is so large in scale that it is difficult to understand the volume of chicken produce from this facility. The first chick breeding house will be 1,500 square meters big. The chicken hatchery house will comprise 1,000 square meters. This is over and above the 2 large boiler houses and 40 fully automated chicken growing pens, which also form part of the chicken production facility. The chicken project will consist of lay hens, a hatchery, broiler chick production and a chicken abattoir. Massive volumes of eggs and finished chicken meat products will be moved to the cold storage facility daily, from where it will be distributed through the cold chain transport system to the Marché International de Kinshasa and other wholesalers. A fully functional piggery will be established on the farm, from the breeding stages up to the point where pigs are ready to be taken to the pig abattoir. Large amounts of sows and boars will produce masses of offspring to ensure the continuous supply of pigs to the on-site abattoir at Bukanga, Lonzo. It is from here where meat will be cut, processed, packaged and moved to a large complex of cold storage. Finished meat products will be distributed by means of the cold chain to marketplaces across the DRC, including the Marché International de Kinshasa and other wholesalers. The cold storage complex at the park will be constructed and equipped with the finest technology to ensure cooling preservation of various fresh produce from the farm at the park. This cluster will accommodate fresh fruit and vegetables, chicken produce and pork meat packaged products, as well as meat carcasses fresh from the abattoir. The covered and temperature-controlled area will comprise 2,000 square meters. Part of having a positive contribution to the social impact of the Park Agro project, the Farmer Development Project was initiated. Management and suppliers intend to provide support to enable inexperienced and subsistence farmers to start farming on small scale with minimal risk, to gain the necessary skills and expertise to eventually become large-scale commercial farmers. A production area of 1,000 hectares has been allocated to divide into 200 units of 5 hectares each for the identified small-scale farmers. Farmers will be assisted with proper soil analyses and recommendations to rectify pH and other shortages in the soil. A distribution center will be established at the park from where small-scale farmers can obtain their input materials such as seed, fertilizers, pesticide and herbicides, and other agricultural equipment. Training will be available to the farmers identified for upliftment through the project by means of workshops and mentorships. Smaller, manageable cultivation equipment will be available to the farmers in this program, such as the walk-behind cultivator. The first seasonal inputs will be supplied to each individual farmer. The commodity manager at the park will ensure that the inputs are procured for the total cultivation area. A coupon system will be implemented with the completion of the first season. The coupon system will reduce the monetary risk due to the farmer not handling cash, which can be used for other purposes instead of production inputs. Coupons will therefore be strictly allocated for production inputs. These coupons will allow the farmer to collect from the commodities manager his/her input requirements for the new season to enable production. The distribution center at the park will also be responsible for receiving the production yields of the individual farmers of the program. The farmers will be remunerated on an individual basis depending on the production yields and current market prices. Up until the month of September 2016, a total of 658 containers have been shipped from across the world to the Parc Agro-Industriel site at Bukanga, Lonzo, with much more still to arrive over the next 12 months. This gives a person a bit of an understanding of the scale of this project and all of the logistics involved. The world would soon be able to stand back and witness a proudly DRC initiative, successfully completed and highly functional, having a true impact on future generations.